Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to introduce a new playlist that I am going to be introducing, which is Coding Tuesdays. Coding Tuesdays is going to be one video every Tuesday where me and you sit down and we learn a little bit of computer science and computer programming. The aim is for you to have a basic understanding, if anything, of how computers work, how to program, what programming is for, and how you can implement it into your daily life. With that being said, please join me onto my laptop screen. So first, let's take a little bit of time to introduce the concept of coding into our brains and make sense of it. So firstly, let's talk about what coding is. So coding, put simply, or programming as some people would call it, is the language of computers. So let's take a look at what binary is. Binary is ones and zeros. I'm sure you're all familiar with the concept of a computer and ones and zeros. When you think of computer language, you think of ones and zeros. Okay, but not everyone knows what it means. So ones and zeros is a system used to convert these numbers, ones and zeros, which is what a computer understands, into ASCII letters and numbers. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, those types of things, and symbols, and your F keys, all of that is all ones and zeros that your computer takes and converts into the corresponding key on your keyboard. Now, it's also used for calculations. As we can see here, you can convert binary into decimal and so on and so forth. But that is a more complicated subject which we aren't going to be diving into quite yet. All I want you to have currently is the idea of a computer and ones and zeros in your mind. Think of it as the computer's English. As humans, we talk English or other languages to communicate with each other, while the computer speaks in ones and zeros instead of English. Next, I want to take a quick gander at something called programming code, right? And what it does. So there are a lot of languages, each with their own strong suits, cons and pros, and different use cases. The one we're going to be looking at today is called Python. So if you just go to python.org and go right here to downloads, it's going to take you to a page that says download Python. This will automatically download the version for your operating system, whether that be Mac, Linux, Android, or Windows. Now, this is called an interpreter. An interpreter is a translation tool. So we've already established that the computer talks in ones and zeros. However, the way that it uses this when you program and turn it into a program is when you write the words of the programming language. This interpreter is used to turn that and translate it into the ones and the zeros for your computer to understand. So go ahead and download this. If you're on Mac, it'll be a .pkg file. If you're on Windows, it'll be an exe file. And I'm not too familiar with Linux, so I couldn't tell you there. When it's done downloading and you've ran the package or executable file, we need somewhere to actually write it in. Now, in a hypothetical situation, you could use your Notes app. However, this wouldn't be very efficient because although it would work, it is better to use something called a proper text editor or an IDE, an integrated development environment, to write your programming code. The reason this is good is because of syntax highlighting, add-ons, and a community around it. This makes it aesthetically pleasing, and it also makes it more efficient for you to write in. The one we're going to be using is VS Code. So just type it in and click on the first link. This is created by Microsoft for developers, and it's called a multi-programming language IDE. It's called this because you can write in almost every single programming language you can find, dating back to the 1980s in here and it'll be able to compile it. Compiling just means that it can run it. So now that we're on here, we're going to click download for Mac OS. The reason I didn't do this on Python is because I already have the interpreter. And as you can see here, it is busy downloading the .zip for me. Now I'm on Mac, so it will automatically unzip this for me and just give me the actual application. If you're on Windows, you will have to right click on it in your downloads folder when it's done and click extract. As you can see, it is taking a little while here, but it should be done in a moment, so I will get back to you when it's done. So here I am now inside of Visual Studio Code or VS Code, and I'm just going to close through this. Now the introduction to it might be useful to some, however this video will give you every single bit of knowledge that you need on the IDE so that you can navigate around it quickly and understand what everything does. So the first thing I want you to do is go onto your desktop or inside of your documents folder and create a folder. Call this whatever you'd like. I'm just going to call mine Coding Tuesdays, or Tuesdays, yeah, Tuesdays, sorry. Here it is, and then I'm going to open Visual Studio and drag it in. A pop-up will now be given to me asking me if I trust the authors of this folder, and I'm going to say yes, of course, because I created it. I'm going to close in the top right there the chat. I'm going to close the walkthrough, and on the left hand side you will see Coding Tuesdays. I'm going to zoom in by doing Command plus so that you can see a bit better, and I'm going to make it full screen. Now if you hover over Coding Tuesdays and you click on this little folder icon with a plus that says new file, this will pop up, and we're going to name our file anything. I'm just going to name mine tutorial. Now this is very important. Every programming language has a file extension shortcut for you to be able to tell your computer what type of file this is. For example, an executable like an application on a Windows computer would have .exe. On Mac it would be a .pkg or a .app. However, we are going to be writing in Python, and the extension for that is py. And as you can see, it gives you a little icon here to show you that you're writing in Python. Next, I recommend clicking install to download the extension for Python. This is going to give you shortcuts so that you don't have to write sometimes full words, and it's also going to make it easier for it to compile. Now with that done, we're going to zoom in a bit here, and I'm going to write something called a comment by just doing hashtag and typing my comment out. So the first step into learning programming is learning variables. This is very important because variables are the base foundation of every app, website, game, etc. written in programming code. Variables hold data. For example, the same way an USB holds an image, a video, an app, variables hold numbers, letters, etc. But before we do this, we have to understand how we can run a program. Now, to do this, I'm going to type print, and I'm going to put in brackets and quotation marks, and in between the quotation marks I'm going to write something I'd like to print. For example, hello world. This program here is called the Hello World program, and it is the first program that every developer or programmer has written. It is how they learned, and it is the base or the foundation of their learning journey when learning programming. Now, if I went here and I clicked on the play button, you will see right here it says Hello World. That means it is successful. We have successfully written our first program. Now, It might go here in the output for you, but for me it went into the terminal. Alright, now we are going to do a very simple exercise. We are going to start with some variables. So we are going to write in here name equals quotation marks, and then in between it write your name. Mine is Nico. Next, drop a line and type AGEH equals no quotation marks, sorry, and your age. I am 17. So we are telling it my name is Nico, my age is 17, and whatever it is for you. Now all we wanted to do, whoopsie days. Now all we wanted to do is print my name. So print brackets and name. Name is already saved because we've assigned its value, and the value of it is Nico. Now this is the name of my variable. Same as this, age is the name of my variable. This is not important, as I could change this to fruit, and if it printed fruit, it would still print Nico, because this name is irrelevant. It does not change anything to do with what it holds. It is just a placeholder. I apologize for the loud noise. I'm sure you guys heard that. Anyway, it is just the placeholder. So we are now going to go and print fruit. And what is going to print is Nico. And clear my terminal. But I'm going to change this back to name. So print name, and it prints Nico. Now let's go ahead and print name plus age. What do you guys think is going to print? Drop it in the comments. It's going to print nothing. And the reason for this is you cannot print an integer. An integer is a data type, which is a number. Now, how can we fix this? By something called type converting. We're not going to go too deeply into this, but the easiest thing we can do now is just type str and surround age with brackets. And now if we run it again, it is going to say Nico 17. Okay, now you have created your first program. Feel proud of yourself because not a lot of people get this far. Next Tuesday we'll dive a bit more deeply into it, but for now this should be enough.